Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 6th February 2024. My name is T.S.V. Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TRSV, Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been trying to talk, study, and analyze about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been trying to do in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous, present, and future videos. So let us continue with the topic of discussion for today's video. In the past video or in the past few videos, we have been trying to analyze in detail some very important terms in spiritualism and human psyche that play a perennial role in the life of every human living entity in a lifetime in this material world. These terms are mind, working of this mind, importance of this mind, why, how, when, and where it works in a particular direction, destiny, sanchit karma, prarabdha karma, kriyamana karma, and agami karma. To make it concise, I would like to remind you that the working of this mind depends also on these types of karmas along with other vibrations from the three subtle bodies of a human living entity plus his or her ego and other factors. Now we shall continue with one case history of one gentleman called Joseph Valachi to authenticate our theory regarding the workings of mind and the destiny and karma of every human living entity or average human living entity in a lifetime in this material world. In this process, we already know that as per his destiny or karma, Mr. Joseph Valachi was born on 22nd of September 1902 only to work out his own backlog of karma already stored in his Sanchit karma and was lying in wait to be worked out in the past few births. In this birth, for some reason known to this man's destiny and Sanchit karma, he decided to select a slice of that Sanchit karma, now known as Prarabdha karma, which lay the foundation for his birth in this lifetime so that he could work out the backlog or huge backlog of past karma. Nevertheless, just because that huge backlog of karma from the past few births was really negative, this guy was forced to inadvertently, by default, and not deliberately sucked into the vortex of the dark negative forces called the New York underworld in America, which was thriving during the 20s and 30s of the 20th century. Nevertheless, we all know by now that because of his own prarabdha karma, which slowly blended into his free will and kriyamana karma, this guy chose to project himself as an adult, as a result of which the judge who had called him up for a case in front of his court ordered this guy to be spent to be sent to the regular prison of adults. This was a fatal and prophetic decision. Joseph Valachi who was still in his teens or early 20s, suddenly found himself in the company of adult hardened criminals like Vito Genovese, Lucky Luciano, and the like. This resulted in his becoming a regular member of one notorious gang led by a 40-year-old mobster called Salvatore Maranzano. At that time, Salvatore Maranzano's outfit was in a raging war against another gang led by another gangster called Joseph Joe the Boss Masseria. As soon as Valachi became a member of the Maranzano crime family, immediately he was knee deep or neck deep into the raging war between Maranzano and Masseria. This war was known as Castellamare War. Now we will take a detour. We will know through this story up till now how the mind and karma of an individual living entity works for or against that particular living entity. There is a foundation of every living entity's birth in a particular lifetime. This foundation comes into existence a few months before he or she is even born. According to it, his or her subtle mind begins working. As a result of this, thanks to that slice called prarabdha karma, the mind of that living entity selects a womb or a parentage, atmosphere, and circumstances for that living entity which will turn out to be a foundation for the working out of his or her prarabdha karma. We all know by now that thanks to his prarabdha karma, Valachi was born as the third son of a mere pushcart driver in the Italian colony of New York on 22nd September 1902. 22, as we all know, amounts to or aggregates to 4. That is, 2 plus 2 is 4. Anyone born on 4th, 13th, 22nd, or 31st of any of the 12 months in the calendar takes that birth only because he, his or her prarabdha karma wants him or her to be born on that date in that parentage. This is so that that living entity may find it convenient to work out his or her backlog of past karma. This happened to Joseph Valachi too. Nevertheless, now we will return to his war and his murderous missions and expeditions which were required to win or lose that war between Maranzano, and Maseria. During this process, ironically, Valachi became the driver of the right hand man of Joe the boss Masteria, who was a rival in this war. The name of this particular mobster was Gaetano Tom Reina. Not only this, but the same Joseph Valachi got married to the daughter of the same Gaetano Tom Reina after a raging love affair. Valachi being Valachi and as such noble, remained loyal to his wife until the end. Nevertheless, after a lot of bloodshed, murder, mayhem, miming, attacks, injuries, etc., Maranzano managed to win that war. Now, immediately, Maranzano divided the New York Italian underworld into five different families. He invited all mobsters, regardless of which gang he belonged to during the war, to choose his membership in one of those families. Initially, Valachi was confused. He did not know which family he should choose. He chose to remain with Maranzano's family. However, unfortunately for him, this Maranzano was shot dead 6 months after the war was won. Joseph Joe the Boss Masseria and Salvatore Maranzano were both dead by then. Valachi was in a soup. At that time, he was sane enough to contact the same cold-blooded, cold-eyed, ruthless gangster called Vito Genovese. By then, Vito Genovese was already the underboss of another crime family led by an equally dangerous mobster called Lucky Luciano. Joseph Valachi had no other go but to play ball with Vito Genovese. He soon became a member of the same family. Here we will take another detour. The life of Joseph Valachi goes to prove that after all, this guy was a square peg in this round hole called the New York underworld. Joseph Villati, despite his courage, capacity, and expertise in warfare, was actually a nincompoop because he was not actually cut out for the dark, negative underworld of New York. The other seasoned mobsters could study this quickly and they decided to use the same Joseph Valati for their own nefarious purposes. So much so that these unscrupulous mobsters began using Joseph Valachi as an unpaid contract hitman for their own family and for the mob. This, unfortunately, which stemmed out of his free will and Kriyaman karma, turned him out into such a ruthless killer that, in his own words, this guy accepted to have committed 33 murders in at least 35 years. Though it was of those other underworld figures only, nevertheless, instead of Joseph Valachi working out his old backlog of negative karma, actually began inadvertently adding to the already existing backlog of negative karma by committing these murders, other robberies, and other illegal activities. We will appreciate that all the karma that this man committed during his own lifetime stemmed out of his own free will and kriyamana karma. As a result of this, the new karma from the kriyamana karma got stored into his agami or future karma. Whether or not he could manage to work out his past prarabdha negative karma, nevertheless, this new negative karma became a part of his already existing sanchit karma and would later on be used as a slice for some of his new lifetime or another birth. Now we will go on with the life story of Joseph Valachi. It seems that the destiny of Joseph Valachi at last took pity on this man. Here he was reluctantly trying to work out his already big backlog of negative karma, and thanks to his own prarabdha karma, had begun committing new crimes as per his own free will and kriyamana karma. After this, destiny took pity on this man and decided to bail him out. It started to activate the circles of destiny for the same Joseph Valachi. Things came to a head when he, along with other mobsters, came and joined Vito Genovese to be sentenced together in a drug case or narcotics case to around 15 years imprisonment. Here, the same extremely dangerous Vito Genovese began suspecting this Joseph Valati of being the informer who was the main reason for them all being so imprisoned. As a result of this, Joseph Valachi began fearing for his own life. In that process, he killed another mobster called Strop, thinking that this Strop was none other than a mobster called Joe de Palermo. Because of this, which was committed within the prison, Joseph Valachi was again arrested for another murder and sent to a separate cell away from all the other collective mobsters of the Vito Genovese family. Here, Joseph Valachi ultimately got totally fed up of his life in the mafia in New York and decided to become a public informer against the same mob. He decided to go into the witness protection program, and here he spilled the beans about the workings of this mafia in America for the first time for the police and public to see. Whatever mafia had kept hidden for so long was now revealed by Joseph Valati. This could have been detrimental to the lives of several mobsters, but it actually personally helped the same Joseph Valati who had paid his debts to the society by becoming a public informer against the very mafia which was trying to exploit him in the past 33 to 35 years. This made him a star of sorts overnight in America and abroad. The police took notice of this serious situation and shifted him to a facility in Texas, United States of America, near the Mexican border. Here, this guy ultimately died at the age of 70 peacefully, unlike what he had always been fearing will happen to him. As a mobster, he always looked over his shoulders lest somebody should either shoot or stab him to death. Instead, he died a peaceful death. With this, probably Joseph Valachi's all backlog of negative karma was at last paid or repaid. This is all I wanted to talk about in this particular video. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular subject. Please give me your own expert views, thoughts, ideas, and opinions so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.